Rock and
Okay.
roll.
All right, everybody. It is Melanie Mitro, one of the hosts of the Make Chic Happen podcast, and I'm flying solo today. I don't have my co-host with me right now, but we do have a really special guest all the way from around the world in Australia. We have Angela Henderson with us today. Angela, you there?
I am here. So fun to be here.
Yes, we're so excited to have you. And we were chatting before we started the podcast. You know, it is 6 a.m. your time. It is 4 p.m. my time, Eastern time. And right now we were chatting about, I mean, you have two kids. I have two kids, and it's like you're getting them started for the day. My kids are coming off the bus, right? We're getting ready to, and just it's chaos as business owners trying to, build a business, raise our kiddos, do what we love. And we love the freedom and flexibility, but sometimes it creates some challenges too, right? So,
Oh gosh, 100%.
Yeah. So we're excited to chat. You're a business coach. You help women all over the place, and I love that you love hockey. That's Katie's thing too. She's the hockey mom of two hockey players as well. And so you have your own company, which is Angela Henderson Consulting. You started it in 2016, right? And so you really get to help people with kind of setting goals and their vision and their direction and all the strategy that goes behind it. And today we get to chat a little bit about goal setting, which is the perfect conversation to be having right now, since people are really getting reflective in what they accomplished and what they didn't accomplish, right, over the past year. And has 2021 been insane for you?
Yes, it's been, the last 2 years actually have been absolutely incredible from a space of growth. So I know obviously other businesses may not have been in that position, and I get that, but I will celebrate that we've had a great 2 years and really seeing those women just adapt. And I know the word pivot was used a lot, but that's the reality of what have had to happen for spaces that needed to jump online, like Pilates and yoga and a variety of other places. And what, I know we've busy, but what I would say is we have choice.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm kind of straight down the line with that is I got to choose to wake up this morning and hop on at 6 o'clock. No one made me. No one was coming to save me. I got to choose because I wanted to do this. Same with you. You chose to be here, right? And regardless of everything that's going on and the busyness of and the greatness of the years, I had choice. I had choice on how I handled what was being presented to us. I had opportunity to look forward to. So it's all about choice when we're in those phases, in my opinion.
I agree. I 100% agree. Actually, Katie and I we hosted a small business summit, and we were like, you never have to feel like you're backed against a wall. Like that is the cool part about just our world today, and being able to create online products, be able to, follow your vision. You can really make anything happen, if you put your mind to it. And if you have the courage to step out of your comfort zone and do something you've never done before. Right. All right.
Totally.
So let's dive in. Let's dive into today. We really want to kind of get to the meat of the podcast and really talk about goal setting. And, I know that's something you're really passionate about. It's something I'm super passionate about as well. Goals really drive everything that you do in a business. It boils down to how you actually manage your time. But so many people are afraid to set goals. They're afraid to put it on paper. They're afraid of success. They're afraid of failure. So let's kind of dive in. And let's talk, first of all, why do we need to actually set goals? And you really have 5 reasons why it's imperative for people and their business success. So why don't we go through that first?
Yeah, absolutely. Goals are the driving force. And I know we'll talk a little bit later on about other things that kind of capitalize on that, because goals are just goals if we do nothing with them. But I believe that there are 5 significant reasons that everyone listening should have their goals in place. And the first one is goals give you strategic direction and guide your focus. I don't know about you, but one of the things is like we've got shiny object syndrome. It is real. Everything can be just chaotic and noise and fluff, and we don't really know. But once you have goals, again, that direction starts to come in place. Your focus is able to be more tailored. You're able to use your time in a more efficient manner, which will hopefully help you again gain the traction that you need in order to keep that business rocking and rolling. Furthermore, it allows you to not have to expand your mental energy. I mean, we were just talking about all the things that we have on our plate. If you're just running with no strategic direction, again, you're just like, what do I do today? And you're having to put so much energy every single day trying to figure out the pieces. So reason number one why goals are so important is it helps to get you that strategic direction and helps to guide your focus on what you need to be, rocking and rolling on.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Now, goal number two, or the reason why, sorry, goals are so important is that goals help to keep you accountable. Now, that might sound a little bit like, what? Of course, they're going to keep you accountable. But again, from that subconscious point of view, not everyone looks at it from this point. So the thing is with your goals is, goals can't lie, right? If it's written down, it's like it can't lie, right? And because of that, every time you look at your goals, you're going to have to reflect on things. Again, you're going to have to be accountable. You're either taking action with your goals that you've written down, getting closer and achieving them, or you're not. You're taking action that's getting you closer to like achieving them or not. And the reality of it is if you don't have them written down, then who's keeping you accountable? Because here's the thing. A lot of women, when they first start out, don't ask for help. I'm sure you and Katie see this also, and they're doing it alone. And so again, there's no level of accountability. So even if you've got your goals written on paper, on pen, on a computer somewhere, wherever you have them, they eventually, again, from that unconscious kind of level, will still keep you accountable.
Yeah, I know Katie and I, we write our goals. We have it in our task manager. We review it every Monday on our team call. We go through what are the goals for the week for the business, like what are the weekly goals that are getting us to the monthly goal. We know how close we are to our annual projections. We've got spreadsheets and we hold each other accountable to that, but our team knows the goal as well. And so everybody knows what we're working towards because we set goals. And even sometimes those goals are stretch. We'll even say like, whoa, this is a big goal. I don't know if we can get there, but if we at least land 3/4 of the way, we're way better off than if we set the lower goal. So we're not afraid to challenge ourselves, but we definitely keep each other accountable too. So yes, I love that.
I love that you mentioned team, right? Because it's so important that if you have a team, that everyone's on the same page. This is a really great book called Traction, where he goes into an enormous amount about, setting up your organizational structure and your team. But also more importantly, he talks about the essence of keeping your team involved in your overall goals. Because again, if they're not aware of what's going on, it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. What are they even doing those tasks for? So I love that you mentioned that essence of bringing your team involved, and whether or not it's weekly or monthly or whatever is working for you, because depending on where your business is at, the more you can communicate, the more, again, it goes back to that reason number two. Not only will you be accountable, but the overall team will be accountable, helping you get to those, your dreams, your life inspires, whatever it is that you're after. So no, I love that.
Awesome.
Now, reason number three that goals are so important is it gives you a way to track progress. I believe tracking is super powerful because data doesn't lie. And so when you start looking at this, you can't run from it. You can't escape from it. And so goals tracking, again, are you on track? Are you not on track? Like you talked about stretch goals, for example, right? If you're in the middle of a launch, again, being able to track those goals for that particular launch is going to keep you every single day. Potentially, do we need to adapt the launch strategy, right? Do we need to add a free Q&A session? Do we need to bring on, I don't know, discovery calls, whatever it is? Because if you're not tracking your progress, then how do you know if you're on track to be able to hit the $1 million launch, to hit your first 10K month? And again, I can't tell you enough. What I find with working with businesses who are making those 6 and then more closely to those 7+ figure years is it's data, tracking the data, because that's where you're able to make better informed decisions about what you need to do for short-term growth and for long-term growth. So reason number three is goals give you a way to track that progress. And again, it ties really nicely with keeping you accountable.
It does. It does. We do. We have a spreadsheet that basically says if we do this many, community members and this many, clients and this many one-on-ones, like how we'll actually pace ourselves out throughout the year. And we always say that data, like you're tracking, reveals your trends, and the trends give you the truth, and the truth
Mhm.
is what creates the change. You can either say my efforts are producing results or my efforts are not, and then you have the decision whether or not you're going to make a change based on that, right?
Mhm.
So, and it's black and white, because I think a lot of times we think we're doing the work.
Yes,
Think,
that's what I'm saying.
we think we're doing the right work, but it's not actually producing the results. And we're afraid to track it because it's like,
Mhm.
I don't really want to know,
Mhm.
so taking ownership of your business is also taking ownership of the numbers too.
100%, because again, data doesn't lie. And like you said, there's that fear that starts to creep in, right? I mean, the same type of fear around reasons why people don't even do their goals in the first time: fear of success, fear of failure. But again, if you look at it I never look at things as failures, quote unquote, I look at them as lessons. And what are these lessons that are being presented to me to then choose to make change? Again, you always get choice. Choose to change, choose not to change. But if you choose not to change and you're not meeting that data, what you want that you've put down on paper, then again, no one's going to come and do it for you. You are ultimately responsible for your business. And what is also I find interesting is, I don't know about you, but in those 9-to-5 jobs that we all used to pretty much have, the majority of us, right? Or at some stage we had a 9-to-5 job, is it's our responsibility from we go in, we have an interview, they tell us what our KPIs are and what our job description is, we sign a contract. And let's just say we don't start doing those KPIs, right? We get hauled into the boss's office. They say, you're not doing X, Y, and Z, and either change it or you're not going to have a job very shortly. And most of us, okay, yep, no worries. I'm sorry, I didn't know I was doing this wrong. Let me fix it, whatever. We go into kind of fixing mode. But again, data to our bosses didn't lie. But again, it was also our responsibility, right, to make the change happen. And so again, I'm very passionate about it is our responsibility to look at the numbers. It is our responsibility, as far as I'm concerned, to have these goals. Because again, we are now the CEO of our businesses. And if you think about Walmart, Target, I don't know, Whole Foods, I'm thinking about more stores back in America and Canada than Australia. But if you think about those stores, those CEOs are driven by goals, they're driven by data, they're driven by tracking in order to be able to make bigger decisions on any given day for their employees and their overall future direction. So again, tracking, I believe, is that number one reason. Goals give you a way to track progress. And again, that data doesn't lie.
Perfect. I love it.
All right. I keep saying goal. Reason number 4 that goals are super important, and is that ultimately goals are motivating. Each goal is one step closer to what you want in your life and what you want in your business. Each goal is that opportunity to, again, celebrate a win or to celebrate how you're going to look for opportunity and make things better. Goals allow you to truly kind of see where you started also and where you're at, again, being able to reflect. And so one of the big things I do monthly goal setting inside of my programs, and one of the number one things I said at the beginning is let's review and reflect. Let's celebrate what we're doing, which allows them to get motivated and kind of get energized about where to from next. The goals also, again, allow you to see the impact that you've made on those that buy your products and services. Like, I don't know about you, but when you start seeing clients succeed, I mean, and those goals with reaching, client momentum, client journey, whatever those goals look like, I mean, they super drive me with the impact that women are making. To me, goals also, from a motivation point, it allows me to feel like I'm in the right space. Right? Like, this feels good. This feels awesome. That you're not, that you're here also to make that bigger impact on people. Again, seeing progress, in my opinion, and that motivation is addicting. And that's actually fact. Why? Because of the dopamine hits that we get from our brain. So again, having goals allows us to also stay motivated and to simply continue what we're doing.
I love that. I love that. And we need that. So what do you do when somebody is not getting that dopamine hit? Like, what do you say to somebody who maybe is working towards goals, but they're actually not seeing progress or they're not seeing success? So it's not super motivating. Like, what's your suggestion to somebody?
My first suggestion right off the bat, as a consultant, as I say, is let's look at your alignment and energy.
Yeah.
And I would almost say 99% of the time we hit the money on the head. I'm working with a client at the moment She's one of my one-on-one clients, and she was freaking out because she wasn't meeting one of her goals. I said,
Mhm.
hold on a minute. I said, let's look at the strategy side of things. I said, we've done this for launch, we've done this for launch, we've done this for launch. I said, are you genuinely executing everything? She said, yes. I said, the
Okay.
portion about Facebook ads, I said, listen, Facebook ads are tricky at the moment for a lot of people because iOS changes and tracking and all that, right? So I said, we've got to have a little bit of grace. I said, that's why we've got our other plans in place to not be dependent on Facebook ads. And
Yeah.
then she disclosed to me that the husband wants to leave, right? Her.
Oh,
And I
okay.
said, oh, okay. Yep. And so we unpacked a little bit. And I said, this makes sense. The energy and the alignment and your focus right now, right? For
Mhm.
quote unquote, like she's focused on just hitting the numbers, hitting the numbers, hitting the numbers. But our alignment and energy is out because of the fact that and it's okay. It's not a bad thing, but the energy that he's projecting, like, he's saying some things that aren't really not like, you're a failure, right? And your
Yeah.
business is just worthless and all of this. Well, if you're hearing that energy from other people, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not able to make their goals, right? It just means that we're going to have to shift some energy. So that's one of the number one things that I look at. And that's an example. So once we knew that, I said, listen, we need to give ourselves a little bit of grace about this launch, right? Because
Okay.
I didn't have that information when we were planning the strategy, right? And I
Yeah.
said, and we need to really now just realign with what's realistic, with what's going on at home, the energy that's going on at home, and how we do it. And so from that,
Okay.
she was able to relax. She was able to breathe. She was able to give herself some grace that it wasn't the strategy, etc., that was failing. It was the current home situation that was impacting where we were going. All right. So the
Yeah.
number one thing that I ask people to do when they're not hitting their goals is, are you staying true and is it in alignment? A lot of time people create goals that are around like really high revenue numbers because that's what everyone has told them that they need, 7 figures, 6 figures. But what if you're happy with an 80,000 a year salary
Right.
and you get to see your kids dance and do ballet and do basketball or baseball or hockey or whatever, and you get to have dinner with your family every single night? Like, how has that changed our world? Like, because I don't know about you, but I do see that a lot. I
Yes.
need to hit 7 figures, but why?
Yeah.
I need to hit 6 figures, but why? And again, so if I'm able to work with my women earlier on in the alignment piece, the
Mhm.
goals we create, we're setting ourselves up for better success. But if you're just creating goals because someone told you to create goals, or that's what you think you're supposed to do, eventually they will run out of alignment and you'll either start resenting your goals, you'll stop, almost beating yourself up too much, and the
Right.
goals will no longer be a motivating factor. So alignment is key with this.
Yeah. Yeah. I always joke that I call it, we're not going to set Insta worthy goals. We're not going to set goals that look pretty enough to share on social media. We're going to set goals that actually have some meaning to you, and we're going to own them,
Mhm.
because I think you're right. People are so used to that dream big. But if there isn't that emotional attachment to what you're putting on a vision board or your goal worksheet, then you're not going to actually be motivated to take the action, because there's a huge disconnect there. So I really love that. That was perfect. That was perfect. All right. I forget what we're on.
Yeah,
Are we on
so
number?
reason number 5 that goals
Okay.
are super important is that goals help you. Again, it's funny that I always love how podcasts go. They beautifully tie kind of everything else in.
They do.
Is goals
Yeah.
help you work out what you really want. And so when you write your goals down, for example, you get to feel, breathe, and really embody what you want if you're giving yourself that space. And a lot of times you might say something like, I want more money, I want more systems, I want more team. Those, I think it's important for people to realize, like, those are the external wants. The internal
Okay.
wants are more things like, I want more money so I can create memories with my kids. I want more time. I want more financial freedom to be able to go on holiday. Those are really what you're doing. So creating goals will allow you to truly look at the internal part of you and not just be
Yeah.
externalizing it. So you get to go a little bit deeper, which allows you to really look at the juiciness of what those priorities are for you, your family, the bigger impact, etc.
I love that. I love that. And I think that the whole, so that I'm setting this goal so that I can have more time with my family, or I'm achieving this rank in my business. And it's really tying it to the how I want to feel and how I want to experience life. Because I also see a lot of people that will say, I'll be happy when. I'll be
Totally.
happy, like I'll be happy when I make six figures with this launch, but then there's always something more. Right. And I
Mhm.
know for me, I don't know if you're familiar with the Enneagram, but I'm the Enneagram 3. I'm the
Mhm.
achiever. One of
Mhm.
my biggest challenges in life is that there'll never be enough. Like there's never enough. I can always just be achieving more. And I've learned to really say, how can I kind of define my goals based on how I want to feel and how I can like
Mhm.
live in the moment. And so I think that if we start talking about that, how do we want to feel? It kind of connects things together and makes you enjoy the process too. Right.
The feeling and just that less essence of joy, that essence of excitement, right? Like if you're sitting there going, oh God, I have to do my goal strategy
Yeah.
planning. Oh, this is a pain. Well, man, like stop there and just go in the sunshine, go for a walk, go binge Netflix. I don't really
Yeah.
care. But goals, like I freaking love it. I don't know, I've got 2 hotel dates booked in the near future for 2022 planning. And every
Okay.
year I do the same thing. I book into a really nice hotel, no kids, no husband, no dog, no nothing, no team, just me.
Yeah.
And I go and buy a couple planners and I take my whiteboard if necessary, depends on what mood I'm in.
Mhm.
And I just plan the whole year for 2 days. But the beauty about it is I can sleep. So I'm also sleeping. I then am also going for a walk. I'm eating great food. Things are uninterrupted. Like I love it. It's like I get pumped because it
Mhm.
allows me also to cry if I need to, like going, oh man, that really didn't work out. Why didn't that work out? What can I do? Not cry from a place of sadness, but just cry from a place of like, oh, heaviness, let it
Yeah.
go. Why am I feeling heavy? Again, that reflective state when you're doing your goals is really important. Like, again, really, why am I doing this? But I love it. It excites me. It's fun. It's motivating. It's all of those things. And then my team, they hate me at the end because then they know that everything's about to hit them with what's all
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
But again, as I say, there's a quote, something like, no one's steering the ship. The only way you'll get to your destination, the only way you'll get to your destination is by chance, right? So remember, if no one's steering it,
Yeah.
how are you going to get to your goals? Because again, it becomes by chance,
Right.
right? So
Right.
again,
Right.
if they're not exciting you, if they're not lighting you up, if it doesn't feel fun anymore, there's a disconnect with your alignment. So go
Yeah.
back and look at that piece,
Yeah.
because energy and alignment will be key for success.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you said that. We just did that last week. So Katie and I went away 3 days. We locked ourselves in a hotel room, and that is exactly what we did with the calendar. And we had an agenda, and we had the big pieces of white, post-it note paper.
Yes.
And we planned, and we had candid conversations about where we want to be, what worked, what didn't work, what brings us joy, what doesn't bring us joy, what doesn't bring us joy, but we still have to do it right now,
Mhm.
so we had those conversations, and it was great reflection, but it was such great clarity. We came back, we're about to have our big team meeting on Wednesday, and really share with them. So you're right. Our team's probably like, oh gosh, here comes the
The
work.
notes are coming. It's coming. Yep.
Yeah, but it's very true. And it's healthy. We can't just move, and to do it more than once a year too, right? To not
Oh
just
my
do it.
goodness. I check in every quarter, and
Yeah.
it's not just about setting goals every quarter. And I think that I want to emphasize that. It's
Yeah.
about making sure that I'm nurturing my body, I'm nurturing my mental health,
Yeah.
I'm giving myself the space. Sometimes I literally will have the 2 days and I sleep for
Yeah.
75% of it. But
Yeah.
that other 25% is what I need. And I think that's important to understand, is that it's taken me a few years to really understand the essence of divine timing and the notion that the universe is giving you everything you need right now, and not to always be controlling. And that's very hard for a lot of entrepreneurs. The perfectionism traits come into place, the achiever comes into place, like you're talking about. I mean, I've been there, gosh knows, and they're still there because that's part of who we are.
Right.
But the sooner you can just kind of go, like, it is what it is. Yes, I'm planning. Yes, I'm showing up. And that's what I do on those days. But sometimes the universe is saying, like, actually, we just need to slow you down and sleep.
Yeah.
So by having it
Yeah.
planned in the calendar for every quarter, it allows me to know I'm getting away from the family. I'm refilling my cup. I can look and again, assess, review, check, right, the data,
Yeah.
but also just giving my space just to, again, fuel up, and that's okay.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So let me ask you this question too. What's the number one thing that stops people from not achieving their goals?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, they're not probably going to like it, but it's their mind, it's the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if I would have, I mean, I'm pretty solid with my mindset, but I think early on, I mean, I've been in a business now 11 years, and the reality of it is it's mindset. Your external world is a direct reflection of your internal world.
Yep.
So if things are chaos, if your business is chaos, if family is chaos, if things are messy, you have to get to the internal world, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter what strategy you give, Mel, or I give, or Katie gives.
Yeah.
If things are messy inside, the self-sabotage will come, the imposter syndrome will come, and not like those will always kind of creep in, but it's about acknowledging it, and it's mindset. It's imperative. I can't tell you how many people go and buy planners and think this is the year I'm going to rock 2022. This is the year they get the planner and they do nothing.
Yeah.
It's because of the mindset. How many people are going to set goals to drop 50 pounds and by week 2, they're done?
Yeah.
And so until you work with the messiness of what's going on and it's all things from childhood to, I'll give you an example. As I was working with a hypnotherapist recently over 12 weeks. So one session every week for 12 weeks.
Okay.
And she came to me and she said, and this is, the messiness work doesn't start when you are a millionaire. The messiness actually probably gets even messier. So let me be real, the sooner you can start this, the better. So I was speaking with a hypnotherapist and she said, Angela, anything come up for you this week? And I said, actually, yes. I said, this client said just like this off the cuff comment. So one of my one-on-one clients, high touch VIP service, said, I thought I'd have more templates when I was working one-on-one with you.
Okay.
And in my brain, I'm like, man, I've got templates coming out my ass. Like, what is she talking about? And I was like, but I was triggered. I don't know why, but I was triggered.
Yeah.
And so I went back and I was like, man, this lady's had like 8 templates and I don't do a cookie cutter approach. So I was like, she was given the templates that she needed based on her individual business needs.
Right.
And so the hypnotherapist is like, great, let me count you down. And yes, they count you down. You don't turn into a chicken or anything like that. So she counts you down. She goes, when I get to 1, you're going to be where we need to be to talk about this. So she gets me to 1. And it was the crazy thing. It was this moment when I was in my mom's kitchen. She had been divorced from my dad for a little while, but her computer screen was up and I could see my name, my sister's name, and my brother's name on the screen. And I thought, well, that's weird. Why our names? So I stopped and I quickly saw a paragraph about me that just said, Angela's in medical school. Her GPA is 4.0, blah, blah, blah. Then I saw my brothers and sisters, but my mom was on the online dating service and she had made up this facade about my brother, my sister, and I.
Okay.
So I wasn't in medical school. I didn't have a GPA of 4.0. And so what came from this thing is that I wasn't enough. Now, I've never used the words I'm not enough, ever.
Yeah.
I'm very confident. My mindset's pretty solid. But what happened when when my one-to-one client said, Angela, I thought I had more templates, deep down from a subconscious level I was not enough. And so people that are listening to this on the podcast it says, and you can't see it, but there's a sticky note I'm holding up to Melanie. It says, I am enough. I'm doing enough. I'm giving enough. Just keep going. Yeah. So that's an instance when getting to the messiness and the mindset, because I couldn't have done that through talking therapy. No way could I have gotten to the root cause of that. So a lot of times you are not achieving your goals and are self-sabotaging, and those limiting beliefs are coming in because there's a root cause. Yeah. And that root cause for me, I mean, I'm 42, that root cause was from 20 years ago. Yeah. So if I wouldn't have taken the time to address that, this essence of, even though I'm not saying it, I'm not enough, would have kept showing up in my world. So again, that's an example of getting to the root and really working on that mindset and internal work. So that's what you got to get to if you really want this stuff to work.
You do. You can have all the systems and processes and scripts. But if you do not physically believe that you can achieve the goals and you have those, the worthiness, right? The I am not enough standing in the way, you'll never implement. You'll always self-sabotage. I see that. Oh, same thing, 10 years in the business of coaching other people. And I see the exact same things. It's much more psychological. And I think everybody needs to invest in just having that mindset coach, because that is once you lift that ceiling, sort of everything else just falls into place, right?
Absolutely. And that's why as a business consultant, I say, my zone of genius is I have a thing called a trifecta. My trifecta is strategy, sales, and marketing accountability. And when I infuse those together, I help women to make more money. However, I have a mindset coach. I have a spiritual intuitive coach. I've got financial coaches. I've got 12 other experts that help my programs that I run, because when I start to see these things appearing, I'll say to them, hey, my zone of genius has stopped for a moment and I need you to book in with such and such because
Yeah.
you're going to need to get to this.
I love that.
So again, we taking that holistic approach to it, because again, without one, without the other, because that mindset, I'm telling you, it will creep in at launch time, halfway through a launch, it will start to creep in. It will creep in when you're doing your goals. It never fully goes away, but the more you dive deep and look at it, you get the tools and resources you need, and it limits your from, failure, really, from not succeeding.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's awesome. Okay. So how can people that are listening right now start to get their goals from the chaos in their head to the paper?
Mhm. Right. I mean, the easiest thing that I always say is just do a brain dump. There's nothing more therapeutic than taking the chaos from your head and just getting it. Like you said, I know you guys brought your own hotel, to getting it on paper, getting your ideas flowing, and not stopping and like really kind of like, analyzing. Just like start writing down your big dreams, start feeling into it, and things will start to fold. You're going to have lots of kind of buckets of things coming over. But like I say, start with pen to paper. The next thing I say is then start looking at, before you then start looking at pen to paper, again, ask yourself, are they in alignment? Are they fun? Am I excited about this? The next thing that I say also, though, is look at your bandwidth. What is your bandwidth for the next 12 months? What is your bandwidth for the next 9 months, etc.? So obviously with COVID, that just happened. A lot of times I'd say for my clients who've been in lockdown for like 300 days,
Yeah.
what is your bandwidth for the next month in order for you to achieve what you need to achieve? If you're homeschooling and you're doing X, Y, and Z, do you have the bandwidth? I mean, at time of recording, Christmas is about to come. Now, everyone thinks, fa la 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 la, it's the merriest time of year. But Christmas can be actually one of the most stressful times of year, not just for business, but your home life. You've got kids home. You're going to have to see Uncle Johnny, who drives you crazy at the dinner table. Like, it actually can be very stressful. So what I say to and again, is you're going into quarter four. So if we know we're going into quarter four and we're going into the holiday season, your bandwidth might be really small to do a lot for this quarter. So you may have really had a big quarter two and a quarter three, but what is your bandwidth for the quarter? So I say the same thing when you're planning out your year. What is your bandwidth this year? If you're getting married, if you're having a baby, if you're starting to travel again, hip, hip, hooray for that. There, you might have kids in high school or graduating, or it might just need you a little bit more emotional support. You might not try and put so much pressure on these really kind of, I'm all about having big, hairy goals, right? But there's also comes a time when it needs a bit of reality check. So alignment, are they fun? What is your bandwidth for the next while? And then I start going, okay, also team, potentially looking at team, who do you need in order for these big hairy goals to achieve? Because a lot of times people try and do them all on their own. So that's another essence that I look at. And then I say, how can you break them down? You can't eat an elephant whole, is what I say. And that's what a lot of us do, is we want the immediate gratification and we want it now. And when people try and eat the elephant whole, they then stop and do nothing because they get paralysis. Right. So how can you chunk it down into a year, a bigger overarching goal? How can you break that down to quarterly? How can you chunk it down to monthly, and how can you chunk it down then to weekly? Right. So again, that's the most simplest way that I can say to do it. So yes.
I love it. I love it. And it's really aligned. It is so, the way you do business is really aligned to the way that Katie and I do business. And I just love the way you think about it. It needs to bring you joy, right? Your goals have to evoke joy. There has to be a positive energy about it. You have to dream big, but you also have to be connected to it where it means something and it matters to you. And then you have to say, this is the first step. These are all of the steps that I take to accomplishing this goal. And that drives your to-do list, that drives what goes on your calendar and how you show up each day. And you can just constantly gut check yourself. Did I take the action that was needed to get me to the goals? And if you're looking at your goals quarterly, it's really easy to course correct as opposed to looking at something once a year or every 6 months, So I find that for Katie and I, a lot of times we're course correcting on a weekly, monthly basis, and we're making sure that we're on track. So I think it's awesome. I really love what you shared, and people are going into the holidays, and we talk a lot about the holiday hustle, and we talk a lot about aligning your business and your marketing to your personal life, that they should coexist, that you can build a thriving business and also have a really great quality of life too. I think that's so important, but yes. Okay.
And
So
you mentioned one thing, and I think it's important, and it's not my quote, but I remember I was in the Maldives, and I was, Maldives the first time I was talking about, anyways, I was in the Maldives for a mastermind, and I remember this quote, and I just wanted to read it. It was like, a dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan backed by action becomes reality. So that's also the kicker there is, if you have these plans, but you don't take action, well, then they're just going to be sitting there again. And so it's really, action is going to propel this. Working on that messiness then propels it. If not, I always say is, do you want to be in the same position you are now 12 months from now? And if not, well, then action is what stems that motivation and getting you rocking and rolling.
I love it. That is perfect. That is perfect. All right. So Angela, tell our listeners where they can find more of you, and we'll link it in the show notes, but just where can they connect with you if they want to have a chat?
Yeah, I say it's always best just to head to my website, angelahenderson.com.au. .com.au. It's still a bit early for me. So yes, angelahenderson.com.au. From there, you can choose to listen to my own podcast. You can choose to book in a call. You can choose to follow me on Instagram. So I would say head to angelahenderson.com.au, and yeah, let's connect there. And then you can choose on how you consume and want to connect further.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today. We loved having you. You are incredible. And we wish you all the business success in the new year.
Thank you so much. You have a lovely day.
All right. Take care. Bye, everybody. We'll see you guys back here for another episode of the Make Chic Happen podcast.